Here we go. My name's Mike. You guys know me, or you've just been victimized by the algorithm and you're about to find out. But the good news is I got a great guest, so just hang in there. But I'm the author of Can I Borrow Your Car? And this podcast is about collaboration between professionals. And the subtext is always about being authentic because I I really believe that relationships are more important than ROI. So all that being said, I'm very excited about today's guest, Carl Cox. Carl is actually he's actually a really funny guy that is a recovering CPA. But no, he's a serious CPA. He runs a couple of interesting things. He had an event that I wanted to go to that I was already booked. And then I've seen all of these incredible pieces of content, Carl, about it. And everyone I know that went there loved it. And so I what's past FOMO? FOMO is I knew I missed out. How's that? So, Carl, would you mind introducing yourself? Pick one of the five companies you own, or all of them, and then let's get started into collaboration.
Yeah, Mike, we'll be quick. First of all, thank you so much. I love you're one of my favorite people, first of all,
Thank
to connect with. And I love it when we were in Charleston earlier this year and we're like, uh-oh, we've got something bigger to talk about that's far beyond work. But before we talk about that, just the basics. CEO of 40 Strategy and 40 Accounting. One is a strategy firm. One is a truly strategy and accounting, two separate firms. Why do we do that? Well, first of all, there's not much CPAs that are strategic.
True story.
Boom, mic drop. And then secondly, beyond that, that actually help you get to your goals rather than just getting your tax return prepared. That's not the goal. The tax return prepared can be done by anybody. What you want to make sure is that you're getting actual real strategy to increase your personal wealth and exit your wealth out of your business. So, and as we talked about, Mike, that's something that I loved you did is, we want to create oil wells for people. And then if you decide to sell it, outstanding. That's the core. I happen to also have a podcast called the Measure Podcast, which is one of the top 5 strategic planning podcasts out there. And then also a book called Lost the CEO. And I have your book right in front of me too here. It says, for your marketing folks, Mike, Can I Borrow Your Car, which is a great book. But there you go. We can get started right into this, Mike, because I think it's powerful. I think
Let's
it's
go.
interesting. And I'll be once again wildly transparent. The hair in the back of my neck is totally up right now, which means that I'm supposed to say something that I'm super uncomfortable with. Okay, so we're just gonna go. You okay with that, Mike?
Take it.
Okay. So Mike and I met in Charleston. And there was something that was pondering in my heart about what should I be doing next. And you just came to me as like, oh no, this is, we got to talk about how you came to me like God is completely changing the way how I'm going to do business right now. Like what? And then I started talking about what was going in my heart. And I was like, because I recognized I had to be faithful towards an action that he didn't want to do, because what I've been taught in business is to talk about faith, was not to talk about beliefs, to not talk about things. And so I've been professionally taught to be professional, so to speak. And so to say about these things is to stay away from it, except I didn't feel like I was following my truths. And when I first opened up 40 Strategy, once again, why we're called 40 Strategy, because 2% of most people spend on strategy, which is equal to 40 hours per year. But there's also a faith-based component behind that. The 40 days, if you may, of Jesus and wandering, being tested. There's also the 40 years, right, of wandering the desert. Why? Because we didn't follow through with our faith. That's why we got stuck in the desert, right? The reality is, for most businesses and people, it's not an overnight success. You have to get through a lot of challenges. So let's go through what the challenge was for me specifically. Was I was getting ready to speak and have a conference in this 40 Strategy Workshop growth conference that we just had in Phoenix. And I knew for 6 years, this is what I was intended to do. Like I was passionate about, this is the thing. This is the thing that's going to be an extraordinary difference. And I spent tens of thousands of dollars to get people there and nothing was working. We had about a handful of people through referrals, Mike, which is what you're expert on. Right? Handful of people, small amount of people there. I was like, okay, we'll still do this, but okay, it's going to be much smaller, not 40 business owners. So I spoke at a conference, had a really good pricing strategy convention, got a lot of really interest from that. People were like, literally the next day, like, oh, I need to apply this. So that was cool. So I kind of found this kind of hook
Mhm.
event. But what I was called to do was the keynote presentation, which is talk about my faith, who I am, my challenges being poor growing up in Lynn, where nobody believes you're going to come out of it. It's Lynn, the city of sin. This is just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. There was just these things that I didn't believe that I was worthy
Mhm.
to be here, so to speak, right? And so I still wasn't going to do it, even up to the morning of the presentation. As I'm driving from Portland, Oregon to Vancouver, Washington, just I live outside of Portland, but
I know
to
that
Vancouver,
drive, by the
Washington.
way. I
What's
know
that?
that dr I know
Yes,
that drive.
it's a beautiful drive actually as you cross the Columbia River, and especially when the sun is coming up and coming over Mount Hood, right? And it literally goes
Mhm.
in the Columbia River Gorge. It's like one of the most beautiful bridge crossings there is. Going over there, and I'm telling Tanya, our director of operations, I'm like, Tanya, we need to completely change the slide deck. Change like 10 slides, like on the drive in. Like, I want this picture, and I want this picture, and I want this picture. Like, all so I present it. I started out with Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Did you do the shoes?
I changed my shoes in front of the audience. And why, by the way, this pair of shoes, why it was so remarkable, because 6 years ago, somebody gave me these pairs of shoes to Carl. When you're going to do this really important presentation someday, you're going to wear these shoes. So I put on the pair of shoes, literally
Prophetic
had the song
footwear.
go through. What's that?
Prophetic footwear.
Purple shoes.
Nice. That color works.
But what's interesting is, I mean, there's something about that color
Mhm.
too, by the way, right?
That's what I'm
So
referring to.
that's right. That's right. So I get there, I change, and then I'm not sure if I knew exactly what I said for the next 40 minutes. But people came up to me afterwards and said, Carl, you connected with me. I I can now relate to you. I want to work with you. These things that I've been afraid to talk about my whole life, my faith, talking about, once again, these hard upbringings, talking about my wife not wanting me to open up my sixth and seventh business because she's tired of being an entrepreneur's wife. I talked about these things heart to heart to this group of entrepreneurs in the room. And as a result of being faithful towards what I've called to do, 15 people out of that 70 plus person, pretty relatively small speaking event, wanted to come to the event. And that, as you know, is a remarkable number. That is not a common number to have that many
And it's
people.
not local.
No, this is going from 1,000 miles away from the Northwest to Phoenix, Arizona, in a very short notice.
Yes.
And from that, people came, they arrived, they showed up, and they then experienced what we ended up having to bring to them was, for those who are familiar with Net Promoter Score, we got a perfect Net Promoter Score, 100 score, which means that everyone gave us nines and tens. We didn't have one seven, eight. We didn't have one eight or below score of people wanting to attend the event next year.
Dude, did you, invoice him for next year already?
You know what's really funny, Mike? Talk about lack of faith is I had no idea how people are going to respond to it. And I wish I did have that invoice ready. What we've been grappling with was, okay, like literally these facts, of course, because I am a bean counter by heart, right? That's how I was trained. I was like, okay, how much money did I lose? And and just like literally going through these things to all of this. Can I do this again? But what we realized is what people came out of it was clarity for themselves and what they're going to do. And they got the opportunity to meet with experts one-on-one in a group effort where everyone gets the group effort, but you don't get to meet with people one-on-one. And when you just have,
That's the big thing.
yes, yes, see, that's these experts like you, these are extraordinary humans that are there. These like very, very successful people and people in the audience, and ranging from, by the way, pre-startup type companies to PE backed companies. There's a really broad array, completely different industries, people coming in. But that they all were sharing this common goal to having clarity over what they're going to do in 2026 and getting to meet with experts to give them guidance of whether they should go this direction or that direction.
Which And I think some of the audience and also the would-be audience, I wish they would be the audience. I think that people often really underestimate the power of confidence in a direction.
Mm,
Um, you know, like my CPA, who's a wild man, you've met him, he's
mhm.
crazy.
Yep.
Like what I especially like about him is he knows my business inside and out. He's a fan of yours. He's a growth driver as well. And he doesn't mince words. He speaks with complete confidence about the financial decisions I have to make, some of which have personal, deep personal stuff. And he also knows me. He's like, "You're going to hate that," and then he's usually right. He likes the current thing. He likes the one I was telling you about earlier. He
Yep.
liked that concept. But so let's dive into it. Like collaboration. And I always think like my life verse for business is Luke 10. And that's when Christ sent the 70 out to find people of peace, and which is the word of mouth marketing strategy, but it's also the collaboration strategy because he said, and if they receive your peace, they remain eating whatsoever they put in front of you, which was a big deal back then. That was not a simple command when you think of being an Orthodox Jew, things like that. It was just not that simple. Um, but it like I find so much that people look at what you're supposed to eat, but they don't think about receiving peace. And I just want to tie it into what you're experiencing, what I'm experiencing right now. And part of it, I think, is a sense of relief. As for me, right here, this one, like I just was, I became aware that if I told people who I really was, that some of them would be able to find out quicker they didn't want to know me further.
Mm,
And then I started thinking like a business person, and then I started thinking like a Christian. And I'm like, well, is it grace filled for me to not let people that would not want to work with me because of my beliefs to not find out until after they paid me?
mm,
And you can make you can make an argument for anything. We have the internet now, but from my perspective, there was a tremendous sense of relief in like, hey, this is who I am, and not intended to have anyone move from me. I'm not trying to exclude anyone, but I'm trying to say this is who I am. If you receive my peace, if you want that, which by the way, more non-believers are interested in doing business God's way via word of mouth than believers. Like, it's really crazy how many Christians don't have any budget for word of mouth and all kinds of budget for impersonal things they don't own, right? I always find that interesting when you talk to a business owner and you discover what percentage of their business is by referral and what percentage of their budget is for referral. Yeah, I've
right.
never found it to be anything remotely close. So, just interesting. So, your thoughts on what I just shared?
Well, a couple of different pieces. One is the absolute peace I felt after sharing what I was called to do.
Mhm.
I went as far. I was literally having fears of, am I going to get thrown off the stage? Because this was a secular crowd. This was not a
Mhm.
faith-based crowd, just to clarify. Okay. Um, and, and I was literally like, man, am I ever going to invite into this again? I mean, it was like, there was all of these different fears, right, that I was having going into this. But after I did, there was this absolute peace. That's why the present I was doing what I was called to do. I was no longer hiding, and I was
Mhm.
being absolutely genuine and authentic. And this is why I believe ultimately one of the problems when I used to speak, well, still speak, right? But historically have spoken, I'd like talk about, yay, and I'm saying this, very tongue in cheek, yay, I've helped increase small businesses over $500 million in value through my career. Yay this and yay that, and I've been with 2X to 7X companies, da, 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 right? What happens is people hear it and they're like, wow, that's really cool, but I can't relate,
100%.
right? And so, unfortunately, They're like, "Wow, that guy's really good, but I either can't afford him," but what they're really saying is, "I can't connect with him." Okay. When I finally was willing to do the thing that I wasn't willing to do because I was trained not to do it, all of a sudden people are like, "Oh, wow, Carl grew up poor and with no money. Carl grew up in a divorced home. Carl grew up where there was drugs involved, Carl grew up in an area where he was not looked upon favorably. Carl was a stranger in different areas he was in. Carl had lack of confidence where he had. Carl has had fights with his high school sweetheart, right? Like, there was these things that they were able to connect with, and all of a sudden, once again, they wanted to be with me because they knew I was human, not superhuman, right?
Let's everything. I mean, think about it within the context of AI. And I will say this, like, there has never been a better time to offer what I offer to people, which is ideal client acquisition, human to human, right?
Right.
It's like, it might be the best time ever,
Yep.
ironically, because most people have lost a lot of their skills doing that. And also, man, like authenticity, the, the more people doubt that something's real, the better a relationship becomes a value when you can get face to face. When you can't tell if the video is AI or not, my company value goes way up. But it's even more important, right? Because I really believe that strategy is more than how do you deliver profits, right? It's more than how you deliver it. And great strategy fundamentally um, allocates resources in a way that we have more possibility than before.
Mm,
And
mhm.
I think that we're entering a a somewhat terrifying section of our country's history. I'm a former financial advisor, so I look at the falling yield rates on all of the debt to build AI data centers, and I know what's next, right?
We've seen it before.
Yeah, yeah. That's all I'm gonna say is invest in power. Power. I'm not talking about human power. I'm talking generating electricity.
Yeah.
But there's a reason I'm not licensed anymore and I can say what I want. But like when you look at this strategy thing, when you look at collaboration, and I'm just gonna go to something pretty controversial, because I've shared it with you, and I'm not throwing this on you, so you respond. But like for a long time, I did not want to openly share my faith because I had serious reservations about collaborating with most Christians that did,
Oh, interesting. Hmm.
right? So
Yeah, yeah.
I
Their own discomfort of sharing, interestingly enough. And because I
well,
think I don't
no,
remember if you go ahead,
no,
go
no,
further.
no, it's
No?
my discomfort in them branding themselves as a Christian and then
Oh,
doing
I see what
business
you mean.
like Satan.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, this is the thing, right? And I've believed this for years, and maybe because I grew up, until I was 19, not being a person of faith. And I've strongly we're all dirty rotten sinners, right? I mean, it's just, regardless, and then that's why we need the grace of God to get us to our next level, right? To our
Mhm.
next step, and to have faith to move forward every day, right? And we have to go back to it every day, right? It's like literally, I know if I sway even a week, right, without going back to the source, um, I'll struggle. It's no different than folks you exercising, right?
Mhm.
Your body. This is exercising your beliefs. When you exercise your body, you know if you aren't exercising regularly, your tone goes away, right?
Oh yeah.
What you're trying to accomplish goes away. Well, the same thing happens with your faith. If you stop regularly going towards it, you start moving more distant away from God and feeling that bridge away from it. Same thing with our relationships with our spouses, our significant others. If we no longer come home and look our significant other in the eye first, look them in the eye, give them a hug, a 7-second hug. Trust me. By the way, everyone who's listening to this, one of the most powerful things I've heard: come home, literally, look at your spouse in the eye. First thing you do as soon as you see them. Secondly, give them a 7-second hug.
Not the side hug.
not the side hug, a real hug. Your relationship will change. Now think about you do something similar with your staff and your employees every day. You look them in the eye. You give them a warm handshake or a hug, right? Folks, we have the power and ability. And I love, Mike, once again, what you're doing, because I 100% agree that authentic, genuine. So I am like you. You and I use AI a lot. And by
Well,
the way, we're just in the beginning stages of like going from AI as a tool to AI as a operating system.
it is really close.
Yeah. So that's exciting, but. And by the way, why are we doing this? No different of why we post stuff on the internet. I don't really like social media, but that's where your eyeballs are at. So I posted on there because it's no different than ads was,
Mhm.
when we used to watch all TV back in the days when we used to flip the switches, right? I mean, that's the old TV, the old radio. Now it's social media. It's the old radio. Or it's the old TV. That's why. But the next thing where we're heading towards, and sorry, I'm just there's a reason behind all this, right?
Mhm.
As we move forward to this, the future is not B2B. It's not B2C. It's actually A to A, which is agent to agent. And folks, if you are not in the early stages of developing this, you are going to be left behind.
Well, you're
But
already behind.
you're already behind. You're already behind. But you will be lost within 24 months to 36 months, right? And so which means I'll go a step further. Yes, you go to A to A, but especially when you have high ticket items, it still requires trust. And trust is going to come from relationships, not through your agents,
Period.
right?
Period. So just to key off of that. So everything that I'm pivoting to for myself, for anyone that'll listen, whether a client or not, is number one, get out of knowledge and get into execution.
Yes.
And
Yes.
anytime you can evaluate, and I don't care what business you're in, you can find this. Anytime you can evaluate and look for where does execution require multiple decisions or risk, that's where you want to be going forward. And it's like, I don't want to be known as a referral guy anymore. Like, that's part of what I do. I want to be known as the ideal client acquisition guy, because that's the execution of referrals done correctly is the world's most amazing way of getting ideal clients. But you have to focus on that, because if you look at referrals, you're like, oh, I got referrals, right? And you're out. But back to your A to A thing, like I tell people right now, like, if you think sales is hard now, wait until you not only have to sell your prospect, but you have to sell their AI agent.
That's right.
Right. And if you look at the sales process, and I'm going to call it the collaboration process, because great sales is welcomed and loved by clients. And the reason it is because the salesperson comes alongside and isn't just a vendor. They are someone that helps make strategic decisions. They drive other added value that they're not directly compensated for. They run a relationship stack, not a tech stack. And that's where, like, your thing on this, the A to A, is like, if you aren't executing a multi-part strategy to be credible to AI agents, and you have to.
Yep.
Like, I'm not saying you have to, that's all you do, but you have to have that in your strategy. You're a fool. And if you have a service or a company that delivers execution within a complex environment, or at least perceived by the client, you've got to learn how to enter the sales process before AI does.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It is, I love where it's going, but once again, it's good, should scare you, but what's important, like, this is why execution is so important right now is if you aren't doing it yourself, if you aren't a DIY person and this stuff is scaring you, you need to immediately find somebody you can trust to implement it for you.
Period.
Right. Yeah, it's, this is one thing, and this is why I agree with you, Mike. It is about execution route, right? Because there's these three phases, and it's interesting. It's this presentation I did recently of value creation, and there's
Mhm.
three like different views. There's the DIY, right, to do it yourself. These are people going to Home Depot. I'm going to fix my own sink. I don't like 5 trips to Home Depot where it's still a leaky faucet. Not good, right? So I'm terrible at this stuff. For those of you who know how to fix things, God bless you, engineers and plumbers. I'm not that human. So good for you. I'm not. So I recognize that. I own this, and I'm not trying to ever get better at it because I make a lot more money doing other things, by the way, and create a lot more value.
Exactly.
So I can afford somebody to hire and do this stuff. So I'm grateful for that. But two, by the way, that takes humility, not pride, right? It takes humility to go, I need somebody else. I am okay with somebody coming to my house to do this. See, so that's like a big step there. Two is done with you, right? So
Mhm.
providing done with you services. Hey, I recognize we might not get into your all the way kitchen sink, but let's walk through you with you to help you guide through the process. This kind of on the phone. Here's how you twist and put, you're doing
Mhm.
it. But then there's the real value set where you're going to maximize your opportunities is done for you. And that's what you're talking about, Mike, right? This is done for
100%.
you. We're going to execute with you. And so your fee structure should be significantly different between the different, and where you'll see it's even probably broader than this, but where historically if you think of your base level pricing as being X, sorry to do algebra, I'll make it into a number to make it easy. Let's say you have a $10,000 service. That's your done with you project.
Mhm.
You're done DIY is half that,
Right.
5,000, right? But your done for you is at least 2.5 times that. Okay.
Has to be.
Right. And why? Well, because they're getting more value and it's getting done. Because the thing what people once again miss, let's go back to the same leaky faucet. Often it never gets fixed and it takes way more time. People don't put the value of their time, right, into doing things if they actually have, either if they have a full plate. The mid level is it's okay. It's better than nothing, right? And you're still helping them to get faster, something that they wouldn't have got done at all, especially once again, if they're not DIY. But the done for you is like, hey, we are going to hand hold you through this the whole way. And we're going to make sure that you successfully accomplish your goal, your task, your kitchen sink, whatever it is. And you're going to go away and not have to worry about it anymore because it's done.
Stop right there. So, like, that's freaking brilliant. So, like, DIY stuff for me means I get to suffer a lot of anxiety, right? Anxiety is toxic
Yep.
to your faith.
That's
It's
right.
it,
Yeah.
it's acid on your faith.
Yeah.
And so, like, our handyman, I love that guy, right? When you start to work with us first, Carl, he's like, well, this is something you can do. I'm like, no, no. What you don't understand is, like, there's no way that works out better for me if I do it on my own. I'm going to pay you Second Kings. I'm going to pay you whatever you charge because you're a good guy. He's a believer. You're a good guy. And my wife is going to be so happy that I did. And now I don't even have to talk to him anymore. Now my wife just like in charge of it. But I want to get back to this because that anxiety piece. So I'm going to say something. I don't think it's controversial, but it might be. If you're a believer, if you're a Christian, right? Catholic, Protestant, whatever. If you're a Christian and you're in business and you see what AI is doing at any level of a macro level, and I am now going to exhort you, that is my number one spiritual gift. There's ministry right there. There are so many business owners that want to know that whatever business you represent, A, understands AI and is at least trying to think about how to use it effectively. But more importantly, B, that you are known as a believer, that you are willing to be held accountable for your conduct with other people accordingly. Right? I'm not talking about being a pushover. I'm also not talking about being a punk, right? But that's like when I talk to business owners, the number one compliment I get is, Mike, I know your story. I know what you've been through, and I know you can handle whatever I come up with. Right? And I'm like, wow, like, thank you. I never intended, and I still am not super happy because I'm a sinner. Like, I never intended for that to be the value prop.
Mm,
Oh, wow, I've
mm.
lost millions of dollars and lost rights to books and international businesses and, like, almost killed myself, and that's why you wanna work with me? But but it is.
It
It
is.
is.
It is. Yeah.
And the reason
Yeah.
being is I didn't give up, I didn't quit, but I'm telling you this, the ministry is in the AI because those business owners, they're gonna want to know that somebody cares, and whether they choose to engage with you because of they heard about your faith or not. I just got another connection request on LinkedIn just because I put Christ follower on my thing, and I wanted to put it on my little title on LinkedIn for a decade, and I
Mm.
never did. I finally was like, "Okay, I'll do it." And, the guys in my target market, it's like, "Okay." But, like, here's the thing. Do you see what I'm saying about ministry? About getting in there and and not just witnessing for truth, but also showing love and compassion, because that's how we as believers can have massive impact with this inevitable change.
So yes, the opportunity once again, the opportunity to once again be human, not be greater than thou, right? And by the way, this is the thing that people miss, and it's amazing how I'll call us as collective Christians who go to church each Sunday. Folks, Jesus went to the sinners, he went to the prostitutes, he went to the gamblers, he went to the tax collectors. He did not go to the wealthy, and actually when he did, he typically said, "You're not going to heaven."
They said really offensive things, like sell it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, yeah, right. And so once again, now let's clarify, it doesn't mean you can't have matter of fact, let me just spin on you because this is where people get mixed up in things. He tells us to also, if we have talent, to use it. He's not asking us to play golf. And bless you all who have hobbies that you love. Okay. Amen. But
Mhm.
we are here to maximize our talents while the time we have on this earth to do extraordinary things. That is a calling. Regardless of what you do, we are called to maximize our talents. We
And
are
we
all
will be held accountable.
accountable if we don't. So it's your duty. It's not your choice. It is your duty to follow and to maximize your talents to perform great works in this world, period. That's not how you get to heaven, just to clarify. Okay. But it is it's what is expected of us, how we should be performing and doing things. So I'm going to take this like the brass tack stuff. It's like,
Mhm.
you and I both, fascinating enough, how we both came to the same realization of we need to get more to one-to-many relationships. You're developing your community. We're developing our community. We're launching a cohort. We're going to bring people through a year experience, right, of meetings to help maximize the value of their business. Of course, yes, we work with people individually as well, but
I
we're
cannot
also
wait to refer to that. I cannot wait.
yes, yes. So we have that, and then we're also doing sub AI cohorts and communities on top of that
Mhm.
because we need to walk people with people, and then when we have the experts that with us who we're partnering with to go all in beyond our expertise, but we need to move people down these paths. We need to move people towards it. Why? Right? So they can maximize their talents. So they don't get. I want people to have this vision right now of a tsunami in the middle of the ocean. People will hear about this from time to time. Oh, there was a earthquake in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, right? And then the concern is a tsunami. Well, when the tsunami is passing the middle of the ocean, it's maybe 3 to 4 to 6 inches high. Maybe it might get up to
Oh,
a foot. It's just a tiny little, but that energy is building and it's strong and it's powerful. And as it gets closer to the shore, this wave starts to pick up and pick up and pick up. And then all of a sudden, it destroys everyone who's on the bottom side of that tsunami. What I'm encouraging everyone who's here is you need to get your think of it being a jet ski and you want to get on. You cannot stay ahead of this, but you're hoping to stay on the tail end behind it.
Yes.
that you can ride the tsunami and survive the tsunami. You know, the old saying all the time was all boats rise, right? Except
Mhm.
the boats go flowing out, right? You know, when a depression. This is 100, 1,000, a million X that. Okay.
Big
This is
time.
going to demolish the entire port. And you, yes, sort of like, oh gosh, it's going to right there. Tom Hanks movie,
Oh, Castaway or
no, not Castaway, the movie when,
oh,
not Saving Private Ryan. I can't believe we do this. You're going to have to edit this out.
uh, oh well, whatever.
Louisiana. And that, remember the hurricane, they're doing, oh my gosh, this is so bad. We'll get to it. But please edit this all out. Everyone's listening, edit everything out.
No, nope. I don't edit anything. This isn't it.
Oh,
So
good.
anyway,
Okay, we can't do it then.
so hey, here's something, right? Tsunamis are brutal because when they come to shore, they're going from a place of deep water to shallow, so all that energy gets compressed. But here's the real thing for people to think about. Sometimes the desolation comes in phases. And I think one of the big
Yeah.
desolations that can come from AI is the market trying to work out how to pay for it. All right.
Yeah. That's happening. It's happening. And you know, once again, for those who don't familiar, we're in a similar .com pre-bubble. There's 40,000 AI apps right now. They're not all going to
Uh-huh.
survive. Okay. Um, the bigger risk and real value, once again, I am not an investment advisor. I do not advise people on investments, just to clarify, but this is from somebody else who really knows AI. They're saying, no, the reality is these big 7 companies are now going to become from 17% to 35% of the GDP,
Oh yeah. Like
right?
Wall Street Journal today. Scary.
Yeah. So it's whole different level. Bubba Gump, Forrest Gump.
Yes.
Okay, Forrest Gump. That's what I'm referring to. Forrest Gump. You remember the scene,
Got
right?
it.
They survive the hurricane. They're the only ones left to get shrimp, right? Right. That's how I want you to view yourself right now, is no matter what industry. And by the way, it doesn't matter if you're a plumber, you're an HVAC, you're a financial advisor. It doesn't matter what your episode is. You need to wake up. You need to act, and you need to find partners like Mike, like ourselves, and other people out there who are going to do it with you and do it for you, because you need to act now. You will not be found on the internet. Google ads are not going to be working
Th-
in about 2 years. You need content, you need your agents,
They're already
and you
beta
need to be,
testing
yes,
advertising for ChatGPT. They're already
yes,
beta testing it.
yeah,
They got the approval to go private. I'm telling you, like it, or to go public. Like it's gonna be insane. So
yeah.
I want to bring it back because we're gonna have to land this plane or park this car, as they say. Like all this stuff being said, like one of the things that I think is the most important is this: realize that fundamentally trying to hide who you are and trying to hide what you love doesn't help yourself or doesn't help anybody else. And in business, this is true. Like, if you love Jesus, let people know. I mean, there is room for a little bit of skill and tact in that. Like, strategy works for evangelism too, right? But at the end of the day, like, understand that what this tsunami is bringing is tremendous value for people that are recognized as being people.
That's right. Yep.
So, real quick, um, when you look at all of this stuff, when are you guys going to be potentially able, because you talked about that community and that stuff, when and where can people find out about it? Because I fervently hope that somebody listens to this podcast, connects with you because of how awesome you are,
Yep.
and your kids are pretty cool too. And then, I love it, veteran dad, right? Um, I I want them to be able to find you easily, and I want them to be able to think about what you've talked about.
Okay, so easiest spot, 40strategy.com, 40strategy.com. There's places there you could click a link. but I'm gonna go further than that. I'm actually gonna give you my email. Okay. So Carl J. Cox, CarlJCox at 40strategy.com. Carl J. Cox at 40strategy.com. Send me an email. We are doing a press release coming up here in December 2025 to talk about our next workshop. This is the beginning of many workshops held to only 40 business owners. And then we're doing cohorts on top of this that are following these workshops. I encourage you to get on our list to be aware of when the next ones are coming out because they're limited. And sorry, we can't serve everybody, right? That's just the reality behind it. But for those who want to be one-to-one with experts, who want to be in group sessions, who want to hear beyond what your industry is telling you, because by the way, you're competing with your industry, and how are you going to beat your industry if you're staying in your industry?
How
Okay.
can you drop that at the end? Oh my God. like, say it again.
Yes. Once again, you will not beat your industry by being at your industry association meetings. You need to find outside your industry what experts are doing, learn from the best in everyone what they're doing, and then apply that different technique to help you win.
Boom. Mic drop. Hey, Carl, thank you. God bless you. It's wonderful having you as a friend. We'll follow up. Um, let it not be taken by chance that I plan on being at that next event. So
I know we got to get you there. We need to get
yeah,
your stuff.
I'm
This is going to be
coming.
amazing. I mean, this is the beginning. My only fear right now, Mike, is I am not building my own tsunami big enough right now.
Me too.
And so that is what I'm super excited about. That like the plan is to get to 10 to 12 a year, and I was not planning to do it 3 years. I don't think we have time to wait.
No, I think with I really do believe that we've all been placed into a particular spot, and how we conduct ourselves, how we discipline ourselves right now, we will be called to account for.
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
All right,
Mike,
brother.
thank you.
Thank you, brother.